What is going on, everybody? This is dkdynamite, and the Season 6 patch notes have officially released. This is, again, our 6th and final season for Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone. Let's jump right into things. So, Wednesday, September 27th, we have Global. Dark Ritual operators have begun summoning the Haunting. Prepare for darkness to fall on October 17th. So, again, the Haunting has not started as of today, but will begin right after the second weekend of the Modern Warfare 3 beta is over. Scrolling past all this information that we already know about the Battle Pass and whatnot. A lot of our brand new content. We went over that in several previous videos. Talking about bundles here. Getting to the actual changes. So again, there is no in-season challenge event yet. That'll come with the Haunting much later. We already know about this. All right. So, new attachments. We talked about this before. We have a dual trigger coming to the Lockwood 300 once the Doom bundle ends up releasing. But this is a Cold Hammer Forged dual trigger that fires both rounds simultaneously with devastating results. So it is very possible this attachment is live as of today and you could just unlock it. And then you'll also have it built into the Doom blueprint whenever that does come out relatively soon. Weapon balancing. We have the Lockman Shroud. So for Modern Warfare 2 only, we have a nerf there for torso and mid-far distance damage. And then a minor increase in close mid-distance damage as well. The mini-back, we have a buff there, as you can see, for close distance damage and damage range. For ARs, we have a reduced close distance damage and close damage range, but then they increase the mid damage range there, so slight adjustments there. And then we got a buff for the FR Avencer. We do have a buff for the Cronin Squall, the Lockman 762, the SO14, and the TAC V. Now, the thing about that, though, is that was for Modern Warfare 2 only, as a reminder. Got a nerf there for the Bryson 800. A buff for the Expedite 12 and a nerf to the MX Guardian. Marksman rifles, though, we do have a nerf across the board for the Tempest Torrent, a big buff across the board for the Lockwood MK2, and then a buff for the SAB50, but a reduction in moving hip spread, and then a buff to the SPR 208. Hopefully that's clear. But then Warzone only, we have a buff there for the Chimera, the FR Avencer, a nerf for the ISO Hemlock, and then a nerf essentially across the board for the Cast-Off 762, but a slight buff to the close damage range on that weapon for BR and DMZ. Then we have a nerf overall for the M13B, a buff for the M13C, and then quite a buff there for the M16. Did not expect that. Again, it's all for Warzone only now. Battle rifles, we have a nerf for the Cronin Squall, buff for the FTAC Recon, Lockman 762, SO14, and the TAC V. Handguns, though, also a pretty significant buff for the Basilisk, and thankfully a nerf to the FTAC Siege, aka the Tech 9, which is essentially an SMG, barely a handgun, right? That's me frustrating underwater to go up against, no matter what here. But the GS Magna also got a bit of a nerf there, a slight increase to close mid damage. Big buff there for the P890, the X12, and then a nerf for the Damon, but then a buff for the Desert Eagle. We then have a increase there for the close mid damage range for the Bryson 800, a nerf across the board for the Bryson 890, and then a buff for the Lockwood 300, another buff for the MX Guardian. Looking at sniper rifles now, we have what looks like a pretty interesting buff there for the Karak 300, aka the WA2000, nerf for the Signal 50, buff for the SPX 80. SMGs now, we have a nerf, or excuse me, a buff for the Bass P, Fennec 45 as well, and then we have a pretty interesting buff there for the Lockman Shroud with just semi-auto damage being decreased there. Got a mid-damage increase for the mini-back, a big buff for the MX9, and then those are all our weapon balancing updates there. That's a lot, so I'm assuming we'll get a little bit more with Reloaded, the Haunting, but that's the way they want to end Modern Warfare 2 off, it seems, right? Weapon bug fixes. Issues causing the stat bars to occasionally display incorrect info. Issue with the Lockwood 300 that would cause it to deal inconsistent headshot damage. Issue with some KV Broadside and MX Guardian barrel attachments where they were not offering the correct stat. For progression, they mentioned, of course, the final Prestige, level 1250 at Prestige 25. Global bug fixes. An issue where helicopters were taking higher damage. Issues with the heavy chopper there, dirt bikes, people clipping into the MRAP vehicle. Menu titles not being correct, issues with the appearance of the 9mm Damon, Battle Pass tokens, giving error messages, camera positions, Calling cards and emblems for the Karak 300. Report players being bugged. Weapon blueprint duplication, excuse me. Other things with XP. Manage files menu was kicking people out to the main menu. And an issue with the drill charge. What else do we got here? War tracks. Detached sounds. Yeah, quite a few bug fixes there. An issue where AI gun screens will not function correctly on secondary weapons. And then for downloads, the Season 6 update download file size will be larger than our normal seasonal updates, as it includes all Season 6 content as well as preparing for the upcoming Modern Warfare 3 beta. Wow, so there's probably going to be some surprises found with this update. Beware of spoilers online, but it will be just like Season 5 and Season 5 Reloaded, meaning that the update will be fairly large, upwards of, what, 50, 60 gigs, maybe even more, and it'll decrease the overall game size, as we saw in Season 5. That's very interesting. PC will also require additional space on the hard drive for the patch copying process. It's only temporary space that is reclaimed upon completion of the patch installation. Spec Ops. An issue where players who found all 150 intel fragments would not be awarded the exclusive calling card. An issue where the no respawns message was not displaying in the Adamgrad Raid Episode 4. Got our new multiplayer content there, as we already covered. Fix an issue that can cause faction shot on vehicle challenges to track incorrectly. An issue where the Snoop Dogg operator didn't appear correctly in some private matches. An issue with the ISO 45 stock with placeholder images. And then issue with UAV killstreak pings. How it's pinging enemy locations in between scans. Ranked play. Got a lot of updates for ranked play today. Got a bunch of new rewards we talked about before. And then here's the schedule for Season 6 of Warzone. So, for the week of the 27th, we could see BR ranked Al-Mazrah trios, Al-Mazrah quads, Vandal duos, map rotation for solos. Then we, of course, have Resurgence, Vandal quads, but a map rotation for solos, duos, and trios. Doesn't look like Fort's coming back. I do believe it is just going to be Vandal and Ashika Island for this rotation here. What a short-lived map. But then we have Armored Royale Al-Mazrah quads and Plunder Al-Mazrah quads. Map rotation will occur every 15 minutes. There we have it. We got the Trello board link right there. Oh, Al-Mazrah Champions Quest reward. A new assault rifle weapon blueprint called Flow Through is now available for players to earn via Champions Quest victory on Al-Mazrah. Signal Intelligence contract re-enabled. Reduced number of contracts to hack to 2 down from 3. Supply loot behavior, quality of life. Improve the behavior and visibility of additional loot that drops on the ground out of supply boxes. Buy station limited row. PRD has been replaced with a medic plate carrier, which costs 4 Gs. Reinforcement flare price has been increased to 7,000, up from 5,000. Bug fixes. An issue that prevented the player who called in a deployable buy station from being properly shown in the UI. An issue related to assimilation requests not behaving properly that were accepted after the player initiating the request was eliminated. An issue where field upgrades using the train would sometimes become unusable, and an issue with audio for supply boxes. Global Battle Royale changes here for ranked. As you can see, this is Warzone specific. Rank spectator icon, match rule set restrictions, SR and divisions, end of season skill setback there, as you can see. Got some more rewards there for Warzone. Okay, now moving on to DMZ, getting towards the end here of these patch notes. So, prepare for the Haunting to come to DMZ. Haunting's a few weeks away. And that means DMZ will also be plunged into darkness. Everything featured in the Haunting for Battle Royale will be available to experience in DMZ2, including Operation Nightmare, where you have to face down the horrors of the Hellmouth that has opened in Al-Mazrah and more. Infill now and get some practice in with your squad. You'll need it when the Haunting comes to DMZ on the 17th. Let's see what we got here. General adjustments though for DMZ, as you can see. Assimilation now allows a maximum of 4 players per team. Wait, so platoons are gone. No more 6-man squads? W in chat for those who are frustrated? Players can now use their own dog tags to barter in DMZ. That's pretty cool. So if you want to go for that Serpentine Mastery Camel, you don't have to find Damascus dog tags. You can just go on a streak yourself and then just use your own dog tag. That's cool. Hostages can no longer be dropped on dirt bikes and can be extracted in drivable exfil helicopters. Reduced frequency of kill streaks found in loot. Surviving a hunt squad contract now grants a UAV immediately to the hunted squad. Adjusted number of DMZ buy station prices. They've adjusted the munitions box, gas mask, medium and large backpacks, 3-plate carriers, JLTV airdrops, UAV, AUAV, precision airstrikes, cluster strikes, and revive pistols. So it looks like everything's been made more expensive across the board. Not sure how the folks in the community feel about that yet. Bug fixes, though. Fix issue that can cause the player to not receive event credit for running over enemies with the LTV. Fix issue causing an incorrect crown faction unlock requirement. An issue showing unobtainable notes in the notes menu. An issue that allows players to set a custom weapon to contraband in certain situations. Fix an issue where hostile helicopters chasing the train could spawn without enemies in rare circumstances. Fix a number of faction mission descriptions. An issue with the signal intelligence contract. An issue where pinging hostages would activate an incorrect voice line. An issue where some phalanx missions were not properly allowing players to progress other squad mates' missions. An issue that sometimes caused or allowed players to carry a primary weapon while holding a hostage. And lastly, fix a number of inconsistent buy station prices. So those are our Season 6 patch notes. Again, our 6th and final season, which is very close to COD Next, the Modern Warfare 3 beta. So a majority of the DLC this season is coming out with The Haunting on October 17th. There'll still be likely more patch notes with the mid-season update at some point soon. With that being said, let me know your thoughts on the patch notes down below. Peace out, everybody.